Hey babes, welcome back.
Welcome back to the absolute messiest, most chaotic, yet somehow incredibly analytical space on the internet.
Literally the only space you need. It is Friday evening as we sit here in the studio recording this recap. The sun is setting, the vibes are immaculate, and honestly, by the time you are listening to this conversation, it is probably the weekend.
So happy weekend to the Snark Squad.
Yes, happy weekend. We love you, we appreciate you, and we just have to start by thanking you for supporting the show, leaving your comments, and being the absolute best, most unhinged group chat we could ever ask for.
Truly. The Snark Squad is basically the only reason we make it through the week.
Oh, absolutely.
Happy Friday, babes. We are officially in our wind-down energy. The stress of the week is leaving our bodies, we are resetting, and we are stepping into a very specific, very intentional space tonight.
We really are. And babes, you're going to be so proud of us because the lemon waters are officially back on deck.
Look at us. Just a couple of highly responsible, wellness-oriented individuals.
I am completely serious. We are giving our livers a much-needed, highly requested break this weekend. We have entered our hydration era.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, listen. It is all about growth. It is all about cellular healing. It is all about finding that inner balance. I have my giant insulated tumbler. I squeezed 3 entire organic lemons into this. There's ice clinking around, and I am feeling so purified.
Purified.
I am. I'm practically glowing from the inside out.
Let's analyze this balance, though, bestie, because human behavior dictates that this hydration era has an expiration date of exactly 48 hours.
Stop. Let me have my moment.
By Sunday brunch, that lemon water is going to magically transfigure into a bottomless mimosa, and the liver break will be officially canceled due to unforeseen social circumstances.
Okay, you don't have to clock me like that in front of everyone.
We are trying to be responsible, but we are still messy at our core. However, I fully support the temporary delusion. Drink your water.
Let me have my moment of purity. I am manifesting health. But actually, speaking of manifesting and planning for the future, sitting here feeling so hydrated and calm is making me deeply crave a getaway.
A getaway.
Yeah, I am daydreaming about a vacation. Just sitting on a beach, no thoughts, no emails, just pure atmospheric vibes.
Which sounds lovely in theory.
In theory, yeah. Because every time I start to spiral into this beautiful romantic fantasy of booking a flight, I am violently humbled by the reality of the logistics.
Yeah.
Bestie, why does no one talk about the absolute soul-crushing psychological horror that is packing a suitcase?
Well, because it requires you to confront your own lack of control.
Yes.
Packing is fundamentally an exercise in anxiety management. You are trying to predict the unpredictable.
It is a nightmare. And don't even get me started on this deeply toxic internet culture of carry-on only.
Oh, the carry-on propaganda.
It's propaganda. I see these girls on TikTok with their little sleek hardshell carry-ons doing a 14-day European summer with a backpack. And I'm just like, who are you? What kind of dark magic is this?
They are lying. They have a checked bag off camera.
Right, because my brain literally cannot compute the concept of not having options. The panic that sets in when I have to decide right now in my bedroom on a Tuesday afternoon what highly specific vibe I'm going to be feeling on a Saturday night in a completely different time zone. It's too much.
The variables are too vast.
Exactly. I need outfits for multiple timelines. I need the daytime exploring outfit.
Right.
The cute but casual lunch outfit. The sexy dinner outfit. The beach cover-up that serves effortless yacht energy. And then, babes, I need at least 3 backup outfits, just in case the humidity completely alters my body chemistry and ruins the original vision.
See, analytically speaking, packing should just be an equation.
Ow. Math has no place in fashion.
It does. It is a simple math problem. You have X number of days, you need Y number of garments, you utilize packing cubes to compress the volume, you build a capsule wardrobe with interchangeable neutral tones, and logic prevails.
Neutral tones are boring.
But I have to admit, my logic completely disintegrates the second I step into my bathroom. Because the clothing is only half the battle.
Yes. The toiletries. The liquids.
Yeah.
The absolute scam of the TSA.
It is scientifically impossible to fit a comprehensive, functioning adult skincare routine into a single TSA-approved, quart-sized plastic bag.
It's a joke.
You are asking me to compress my entire biological preservation strategy into a sandwich bag. You're telling me my double cleanser, my exfoliating toner, my vitamin C serum, my hyaluronic acid, my nighttime retinol.
Oh my God, the serums alone.
My daily moisturizer, my SPF 50, my eye cream, my hair heat protectant, my deep conditioner, and my body lotion are supposed to share that tiny space. The physics do not align.
It doesn't make sense. And then you're stuck at the pharmacy at 11 p.m. the night before your flight, staring at those tiny, pathetic little travel-sized bottles.
The worst.
Trying to squeeze your expensive, life-giving serums into a plastic tube that is definitely going to burst under cabin pressure and leak all over your silk pajamas.
A literal tragedy.
The tiny TSA bottles are my villain origin story. We are high maintenance in a low maintenance way, babes. We want to look like we just woke up like this. But the infrastructure required to pack that effortlessness is staggering.
It's the burden of having a standard of excellence. I mean, we underpack the practical things. I will bring one pair of socks for a 5-day trip.
Same.
But I will absolutely risk paying a $50 overweight baggage fee just to bring a full-size tub of luxury body scrub.
Oh, absolutely. Wait. Okay, wait. We need to talk about something.
What?
Because speaking of luxury body care and the absolute stress of logistics, we need to talk about Canvas Beauty. We need to set the table for today's recap.
Oh my gosh, yes. Canvas Beauty, Stormi, the Belle Collective Birmingham cast. Today we are looking at a week in their lives that truly tested every single boundary.
It was so much.
First and foremost, before we get into the absolute chaos of it all, we have to acknowledge the success. We are giving Stormi her flowers right now.
All the flowers.
The woman is building an empire from the ground up, and you cannot deny the hustle. Millions of dollars are moving through her warehouse.
You cannot deny it. It is incredible to watch a woman build something of that magnitude.
But I have a real question. And I need the Snark Squad to be completely 100% honest with me in the comments.
Right. I want to know this too.
Has anyone actually tried the body glaze?
Have you? Because I need to know.
I am genuinely asking this because I see the staggering numbers, I see the hype, I see the $1 million live streams, but I am looking for the qualitative data.
Right, the boots on the ground.
I am slightly skeptical, not in a shady way, but in a purely analytical way. Have you felt the glaze? Snark Squad, I need you to comment, DM us, send an email. We need your honest, unfiltered reviews of this product.
Because you know we are easily influenced.
So easily. If it smells like a warm hug and makes me look like I have a ring light following me in real life, I will pull my credit card out right now.
Seriously, babes, let us know. We need the reporting from the consumers. But before we get into the actual meat of Stormi's massive live stream and the absolute mess her castmates made this week, I have to bring up this TikTok debate I saw today.
Oh no, what algorithm trap did you fall into this time?
It ties perfectly into the digital chaos we are about to unpack, and it sent me into a full-blown emotional spiral.
I am terrified.
Okay, picture this scenario. A hacker has your phone.
Ugh, my worst nightmare.
You are forced to make a choice. If you had to have one leaked to the entire world and you cannot choose neither, are you choosing your Notes app or are you choosing your voice notes?
Oh, that is cruel. That is psychological warfare of the highest degree.
It is immediate panic. When I heard the question, my soul temporarily left my body.
I mean, rightfully so.
Because my voice notes, babes, the unhinged, emotionally volatile, rambling, unedited voice notes I have sent to you after 2 glasses of wine on Tuesday night.
They are intense.
The dramatic pauses, the aggressive whispering when I'm walking through a grocery store so nobody hears me. If those were leaked, I would have to legally change my name, move to a remote island, and live out my days entirely off the grid.
You'd have to fake your own demise.
The sheer volume of emotional spiraling contained in my audio files could fuel 1,000 psychological studies. It is pure, unfiltered chaos.
I mean, you are not wrong, girl. Your voice notes are essentially unauthorized stream of consciousness audiobooks of your internal monologues.
Thank you.
But see, I actually think the Notes app is far, far more dangerous.
Wait, really? You think the Notes app is worse than the vocal evidence of our insanity?
Absolutely. Think about the psychology behind the two mediums. A voice note is passionate. It is reactive.
True.
You can blame the wine. You can blame the heat of the moment. You can say you were just venting. But the Notes app, that is cold, hard, calculated, premeditated evidence.
Oh my God, you're right.
That is where the psychoanalysis happens in absolute silence. My Notes app has passwords to accounts I haven't used since 2014, sure. But more importantly, it has completely unsent, venomous text drafts to exes that I spent 3 hours editing for maximum emotional damage.
Not the text drafts.
It is grocery lists right next to my darkest existential fears and the dimensions for a rug I never bought. It is the raw, unfiltered architecture of a deranged mind.
Okay, wow.
If my Notes app leaked, my credibility as a logical, analytical human being would be destroyed instantly.
True, the unsent text drafts are deadly. You really do sit there and curate the perfect destruction in silence.
Yeah.
But this is exactly why we are besties. Our toxic traits are perfectly complementary.
You scheme in the notes app, I scream in the voice notes.
Exactly. But let's apply this exact framework to the Belle Collective cast. If we look at this group of women, Stormi, Keela, Amber, Tiffaney, Funmi, Sinetta, whose phone do we think has the absolute juiciest, most devastating secrets?
Oh, this raises so many important avenues of investigation. You have to look at how they operate in public to guess how they operate in private.
I am going to put my flag in the ground right now. I think it is absolutely Kayla. And listen, we are adopting the name the cast is using for her, which is Gummy Bear.
Gummy Bear, yes.
Gummy Bear's phone is a weapon of mass destruction because she clearly, as we see in this recap, has absolutely zero filter.
None.
She says whatever pops into her head, no matter how chaotic or inappropriate, her group chats must be an absolute minefield of hot takes, deleted comments, and unhinged observations.
I completely see your logic with Gummy Bear. She is impulsive. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of human behavior, the quiet ones, the ones who curate their image the most carefully, are always the deadliest.
Okay.
I am arguing that the juiciest phone belongs to Amber.
Amber, the nice, nasty church lady.
Exactly. Think about it, babes. Amber presents this perfectly curated, saved, and sanctified, polite Southern woman exterior.
She does.
She constantly quotes scripture. But we know what she is actually doing. She is sitting quietly, observing the mess, and taking screenshots.
Oh my God, the screenshots.
I guarantee you Amber has a hidden, password-protected folder in her phone filled with messy screenshots, receipts from 2021, and deeply judgmental notes about everyone's life choices.
You are so right.
The people who loudly proclaim how delivered they are usually have the messiest, most incriminating camera rolls. They are archiving everything.
I am screaming because you are so incredibly right. The screenshots folder must be bursting at the seams.
Yeah.
She is definitely building dossiers on people. And speaking of bursting at the seams with mess,
Let's go.
let's get into the actual events of this week, babes, because there is a lot to unpack. We are talking million-dollar meltdowns, highly inappropriate jokes, accidental one-on-one showdowns, and some deeply toxic family dynamics.
Let's dive in. We have to start with the main event that anchors this entire conversation. We have to look at the Canvas Beauty Live and the absolute, unadulterated million-dollar chaos that ensued.
Yes. First of all, can we just pause and obsess over the visual execution of this warehouse?
It was stunning.
Stormi transformed a standard industrial boring warehouse space into this heavenly pink cotton candy paradise. I was romanticizing the entire aesthetic.
The branding was on point.
The specific pink lighting, the plush couches, the sheer vibe of it, it was giving absolute mogul energy. It is so deeply romantic to see a woman build a world exactly the way she envisions it in her head and then physically step into it.
The visual execution was spectacular. You have to give her credit for that. The aesthetic is what draws the consumer in. And we have to give her credit for the numbers because the numbers we're looking at are staggering.
Staggering.
We are talking about a $3 million week, a $1 million live stream that ran for 52 continuous hours.
52 hours. I can barely stay awake for a movie.
Which, by the way, was originally only supposed to be 48 hours, but the momentum was so massive she just kept the stream alive because the sales were pouring in at an unprecedented rate. 2,400 book boxes sold. She literally stated that they are the only ones pushing the envelope with million-dollar streams like this in 2026.
Which is an insane accomplishment. I was sitting on my couch, sipping my lemon water, feeling so proud of her, just taking in this incredible boss moment. But then
the reality sets in.
The reality of scaling a business sets in.
Yeah.
The tone completely shifts. And suddenly we are plunged into the absolute logistics nightmare from hell.
This is where I completely geeked out. Because watching the business panic unfold in real time was a fascinating case study.
It was so stressful.
Stormi's million-dollar live stream showed us exactly what happens when a business scales faster than its infrastructure. The foundation cracked under the sheer weight of the success.
It really did.
Let's break down exactly what happened, because it is the ultimate e-commerce disaster scenario. Stormi is sitting inside this massive custom-built box, literally inside a giant box prop to promote the book box product set.
Such a cute prop, too.
But her team, the people running the back end of the Shopify store and the live stream links, made a critical error. They pinned the Trio product listing instead of the book box listing.
Babes, it gives me secondhand anxiety just hearing you explain it again.
It was a cascading failure. Walk through the user experience here. People are watching the live stream, they are hyped up by the energy, they click the pinned link at the bottom of the screen, and they are actively purchasing a trio.
But paying for a box.
Exactly. But they are paying the premium price of the book box. The link and the price did not match the product intent. And then, to make matters exponentially more complicated, they had 2 different scent variations available.
Right. Love LA and LA Intense.
Yes. But the back-end listing didn't force the customer to select a variant before checking out. It was just a free-for-all.
Oh, my God.
So now you have thousands of orders pouring into the system, and the warehouse has absolutely no idea if the customer wants Love LA or LA Intense, and they have no idea if the customer realizes they just bought a trio when they thought they were buying a book box.
I started to spiral. Just watching Stormi's face when she realized what was happening. I empathized with her so intensely in that moment.
The stress must have been unreal.
Can you imagine the absolute psychological whiplash? You are sitting there realizing you just crossed the $1 million threshold, which should be the happiest, most validating moment of your professional life.
Right.
And simultaneously, in the exact same breath, you are realizing you have a catastrophic warehouse packing error that is going to ruin your customer service reputation. When she started crying about the weight on her shoulders, I felt that in my soul.
It's heavy.
Having to put out massive operational fires while you are supposed to be celebrating your greatest victory? It is tragic.
It is the brutal reality of entrepreneurship. When the volume outpaces the logistics, the system breaks. Aesthetics drive sales, but infrastructure sustains them.
That's a bar.
And we saw the infrastructure fail.
Yeah.
But to Stormi's credit, she had to execute a rapid response crisis management plan live on camera with thousands of people watching. Her fix was honestly chaotic, but necessary to stop the bleeding.
What did she do again? I was so stressed I blacked out.
She announced she was going to give the first 1,000 orders $50 in extra free products to make up for the confusion and the potential delays.
Which is incredibly generous.
It is generous, but let's look at the margins. Originally, she was only supposed to gift $50 worth of extra items to the first 100 to 200 customers as a promotional incentive.
Oh, right.
By expanding that apology gift to the first 1,000 customers because her team messed up the links, she is taking a massive, unexpected hit to her profit margins just to save her brand's integrity.
Ouch.
It is an incredibly expensive lesson in back-end management. You can have all the pink cotton candy aesthetics in the world, but if your product variants aren't coded correctly, you are bleeding money.
So true, bestie. The logic jumped out. But amidst all this panic and crying and intense business stress, we got a glorious, hilarious distraction.
We did.
Because who walks into the pink warehouse to save the day and boost the morale? Martell Holt from Love and Marriage Huntsville. Oh, the arrival of the glaze model himself.
Yeah.
The manipulation of the female gaze in real time.
Honey, when he walked in, the entire energy in that room shifted.
Yeah.
All the women working the live stream started swooning. The comments in the chat were going absolutely crazy.
Pandemonium.
People were literally commenting that they wanted to make Martell into a body glaze. Forget Love LA, they wanted Love Martell. It was so funny, so messy, and just the perfect lighthearted palate cleanser to the intense business trauma we were just watching.
It was a good pivot.
But then Funmi had to come in and drop an absolute bomb of a hot take that ruined my entire romantic fantasy of the moment.
Funmi delivered the absolute gospel, and I will stand by her words until the end of time.
No.
Let's state the rule for the record so everyone listening can take notes. Funmi declared a strict, non-negotiable $20 limit on gifts for men unless you are legally married to them and your name is legally on the deed to the house.
I gasped. I audibly gasped when she said it.
It's brilliant.
Bestie, I have to push back on this because I think this is deeply, fundamentally unromantic. It feels so transactional.
It's realistic.
What if you are deeply in love? What if you want to spoil your man? What if his love language is receiving gifts and you want to show him how much you care with a beautiful watch or a nice dinner out or, I don't know, a PlayStation 5 for his birthday?
Absolutely not.
Love isn't about ledgers and property deeds. It's about generosity and making the person you care about happy.
No. Stop the tape. I am completely 100% agreeing with Funmi, and I need to break down the relationship economics of this for you.
I don't want to hear the economics of love.
You need to. Funmi is operating on pure self-preserving logic, and you are operating on Disney princess delusion. Babes, do not buy a PS5 for a man who hasn't put a ring on your finger. Do not finance a man's luxury lifestyle when he has not legally secured yours. We were talking about emotional investment versus financial investment. Protect your peace, and more importantly, protect your wallet. Men will gladly accept your $500 cologne, wear it to the club you didn't know he was going to, and then text his ex from the bathroom.
Okay, that is dark.
$20 is a generous cap for a boyfriend. Get him a nice, thoughtful greeting card and a double cheeseburger from his favorite drive-thru. That is all he requires to sustain his life force.
Double cheeseburger. You are so cold. You have ice in your veins. I cannot live like that, calculating every penny in a relationship like I'm an accountant auditing my own romance. I want grand gestures. I want the sweep you off your feet energy.
And you will get grandly played, my sweet romantic bestie. Fumi's rule is a protective boundary against men who seek out generous women to subsidize their lives. It is a brilliant boundary.
Right.
But speaking of boundaries, Stormi's $1 million live stream showed us what happens when a business scales faster than its infrastructure. But it turns out her professional logistics weren't the only thing cracking under pressure.
Oh, absolutely not.
The interpersonal dynamics and boundaries of her team were completely misaligned too. Look at what happened with Kylan's Instagram.
Oh my gosh, yes. The social media mess. Let's get into Kayla's joke, the line or two joke.
Disaster.
Babes, when this scene happened, my jaw was literally on the floor. I am still recovering from the secondhand embarrassment. Let's set the scene for the Snark Squad.
Please do.
Stormi's niece, Kylan, is working the Canvas Beauty live. She is hype. She has amazing, vibrant energy. She is moving around the warehouse, doing her job and keeping the crowd engaged. She posts a video of herself working on her professional Instagram page.
Keyword, professional.
Professional. And Kayla Gummy Bear decides to go into the comments of Kylan's professional business post and say that her energy is giving she did a line or two.
The complete lack of situational awareness is truly something that should be studied in a psychological lab.
I spiraled. I literally had to pause the TV and pace around my living room. Babes, Internet Etiquette 101.
It's basic knowledge.
You cannot, under any circumstances, accuse someone of doing hard drugs on their professional public business page, especially someone you do not actually know.
Right. They aren't friends.
Kylan is not her best friend. They do not have a playful, deeply established banter relationship where that kind of dark humor is understood. You don't just drop into a young professional's comments and casually accuse them of snorting cocaine to stay awake. It is entirely unhinged.
What is fascinating here is the psychology of the immediate backpedal. Because Gummy Bear quickly realizes she stepped on a massive landmine when people start reacting.
Oh, she panicked.
She deletes the comment and she tries to deploy the classic defensive maneuver. It was just a jokey joke that didn't land.
A jokey joke? Like, what even is that?
Yes. It is what internet culture calls Schrodinger's douchebag.
Oh my God, yes.
It is a concept where someone says something highly offensive and then decides whether they were joking or completely serious based solely on the reaction of the people around them.
That is so accurate.
If Kylan had laughed, Kayla would have owned it as a brilliant observation. Because Kylan and Amber were furious, Kayla claims it was just a failed joke.
Sonetta actually perfectly clocked this situation. She sat Kayla down and said, listen, what is a joke to you is not a joke to everyone else. You have to know your audience.
Sonetta was the voice of reason there. But let's analyze Kayla's delusion for a second. She is the textbook definition of throwing the rock and hiding her hand.
Yes.
You cannot publicly call a young woman a cokehead in front of thousands of potential Canvas Beauty customers and then follow it up with, oops, just kidding, babes, my bad. It is a complete abdication of responsibility.
It really is. It's giving, I want to be edgy and funny for the internet, but I absolutely do not want to deal with the real-life consequences of my thumbs.
No.
It is cowardly.
Very.
But what really got me wasn't even just Kayla's terrible joke. It was how Amber inserted herself into the narrative afterward at the boxing gym.
Oh, the boxing gym scene. A masterclass in cognitive dissonance and virtue signaling.
So Amber, Tiffaney, Kayla, and Sonetta go to this really cool nightclub-style boxing class to blow off some steam. The music is bumping, the neon lights are flashing. It looks like an incredible workout vibe.
It looked like a lot of fun, honestly.
It did. And Amber, standing there in her boxing gloves, claims she wants to punch a heavy bag instead of punching Kayla in the face over the Instagram comment because she is saved and delivered.
Saved and delivered, right?
She literally says she doesn't do those violent, messy things anymore because she's saved.
She is actively claiming the moral high ground. But let's look at the mechanism of her behavior in real time. Amber is playing both sides of the fence masterfully.
She always does.
Before they even get to the gym, Amber is talking to Kylan about the Kayla comment. And Amber tells Kylan, I'm not going to hold you back if you want to check Kayla.
Stirring the pot.
Exactly. She is effectively stoking the fire, stirring the pot, and making sure Kylan stays angry. But then, to Kayla's face at the gym, she hides behind being a nice, nasty church lady.
Yes. She is an instigator disguised as a peacemaker. She wants the drama to happen. She just wants someone else to throw the actual punch so her hands stay clean.
Exactly. And the visual contradiction at the boxing gym is the absolute cherry on top of the hypocrisy. Bestie, this woman is quoting scripture and claiming she's far too sanctified to engage in a physical altercation, and then 3 minutes later, she is bent over, clapping her own butt cheeks in the boxing ring while Tiffaney hypes her up.
I was yelling at my screen.
Pick a lane, Amber. Are you the dignified, saved church lady who is above the fray, or are you shaking it at Battle Republic on a Tuesday afternoon? You cannot embody both personas in the exact same scene and expect the audience to take your moral grandstanding seriously.
The visual of her quoting the Bible and then immediately twerking in boxing gloves is reality TV gold.
Oh.
It is so deeply messy.
So messy.
But Amber's hypocritical behavior in the gym is just a symptom of a larger issue with this group. They constantly use humor or jokes to mask their genuine disrespect for one another. Which perfectly brings us to the actual root of the tension this week. We have to talk about the mop incident.
This is where the plot genuinely thickens because we finally get the backstory on why Tiffaney was banned from the Candace Beauty live event in the first place.
Right. So we find out that prior to the massive warehouse event, at a casual game night, Tiffaney told Stormi, the multi-million-dollar CEO, the woman who literally employs people and runs an empire, to go mop on aisle whatever.
Aisle 3, go grab Swiffer.
I was physically cringing. Tiffy tries to defend the comment by claiming it was an obvious joke because she was laughing when she said it.
Typical.
But Stormi's advisor, Chanel, was horrified, and honestly, so was I. Bestie, I totally get having a dark, sarcastic, dry sense of humor. I really do. My humor can be incredibly biting. But I am spiraling over Tiffaney's absolute failure to read the room. You do not tell a CEO who is currently making millions of dollars to go grab a Swiffer. It is a massive disrespect. It's not funny, it's just awkward and demeaning.
If we break down the psychology of the joke, it is an obvious, calculated power play. It is an attempt to diminish someone's status under the guise of humor.
Totally.
Let me give you an analogy to explain why this cuts so deep. It is like walking into a Michelin star restaurant, walking right past the executive chef who just won a James Beard Award and telling them to go take out the trash in the alley.
Ooh, that's good.
It doesn't matter if you giggle afterward. The core mechanism of the joke is, I do not respect your position and I want to remind you that I view you as beneath me. And Stormi, who has fought tooth and nail for every single ounce of success she has, is acutely aware of when someone is trying to humble her.
Such a perfect analogy. It was totally a power play.
Yeah.
So the tension between Tiffaney and Stormi is awful, right? The vibe is completely ruined.
Beyond ruined.
And Amber, in a rare moment of trying to actually be helpful instead of messy, organizes a group outing at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute to heal the divide and get all the girls together in a neutral space.
A beautiful, culturally significant, highly educational venue, a place of reverence. What could possibly go wrong?
Everything, literally everything goes wrong. Because reality television is governed by Murphy's Law, and we get the cruelest plot twist of the week.
The great bailout.
Amber, the actual organizer of the event, gets terribly sick from her IVF medications.
Yes.
She's taking Zopran for severe nausea. She is physically throwing up. She cannot make it. She has to bail.
Which is a completely understandable medical emergency. We will get to the intense reality of her IVF journey in a moment.
Yes, totally valid excuse.
Yeah.
But her absence causes an immediate domino effect. Sonetta bails. Killa bails. Sumi bails to go to New York Fashion Week. Every single buffer person drops out of this event.
Leaving the two combatants.
And who are the only two people who actually show up to the museum? Tiffaney and Stormi. It ends up being an accidental, deeply awkward one-on-one showdown surrounded by historical artifacts. I was screaming at my television. The universe truly has a sixth sense of humor to force these two together.
It was a cosmic setup. They were forced into a confrontation without an audience, without a mediator to translate their feelings, and without an escape route.
And it was painful.
And this leads us to the word salad confrontation, which I think is one of the most frustrating pieces of communication I have ever witnessed on television.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
So Tiffaney, to her credit, actually initiates the conversation. She acts like an adult. She says Sinetta told her Stormi was offended by the mop comment, and she asks Stormi directly face-to-face, what were you offended by?
A direct question.
And Stormi completely refuses to answer the question directly. She turns into a Jedi master of emotional mind games. She starts deflecting, saying, well, do you think you did something offensive? What do you feel like you did?
I was absolutely losing my mind watching this. I wanted to reach through the screen and shake her. This communication style is abysmal. I call it high school principal interrogation tactics.
That's exactly what it is.
Let's analyze what Stormi is doing here. She is utilizing the weaponization of silence. She is trying to force Tiffaney into confessing to a crime before she will even reveal the charges.
Wow, yes.
It is a control mechanism designed to keep the other person off balance. If you are a grown woman and someone directly asks you how they hurt your feelings, just use your words.
Right.
Say, I did not like it when you told me to mop. It felt disrespectful. Do not make the other person play an emotional guessing game to prove they care. It is exhausting, it is unproductive, and it is a massive barrier to actual resolution.
Okay, wait, hold on. I hear your logic, but I have to push back here. Because while I agree it was super frustrating to watch from the outside, I kind of relate to Stormi's pettiness in this specific moment. I understand her emotional impulse.
Oh, please do not defend this toxic trait. I know exactly where you are going with this.
Hear me out, bestie. Let me explain the psychology from the messy side.
Go ahead, justify it.
When I am mad at someone, especially someone I think should know better, I want you to know why I'm mad without me having to spell it out for you like you're a toddler.
That is unreasonable.
If you insult me to my face at a game night and then pretend you genuinely don't know why the vibe is off, I am not going to give you the satisfaction of handing you a neat little bullet point list of your crimes. You need to search your own soul, retrace your steps, and come to me with the realization.
Oh my God.
It is the romance of the apology, babes. I want you to understand my pain on a spiritual, empathetic level, not just because I sent you an itinerary of my grievances.
Babes, bestie, that is not romance. That is an emotional hostage situation.
It's romantic.
You want people to be mind readers, and when they inevitably fail to read your mind because they operate differently than you do, you use their failure as further proof that they don't truly care about you. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy of misery.
Okay, that felt personal.
Think of it like an autoimmune response in a friendship. One person's defensive communication style, like Stormi's word salad, starts attacking the healthy parts of the relationship, demanding the impossible until there's nothing left but resentment.
Like an autoimmune response.
Yes. Stormi had the golden opportunity to clear the air, state her boundary clearly, and move forward. Instead, she chose to keep Tiffaney in the dark so she could maintain a sense of superiority. It's a massive fail.
Okay. When you put it like an autoimmune response, maybe it is a little toxic.
Yeah.
I'll admit I have some communication styles to unpack with my therapist.
You do?
But speaking of toxic dynamics and people failing to show up when you desperately need them to, the museum bailout really highlights the absolute lack of a support system for Amber. We have to transition to the heaviest, most emotionally complex part of this recap. We need to talk about Amber's IVF journey and the mama trauma.
Yes. Let's take a deep breath because this section requires a lot of empathy and a very sharp critique of systemic expectations placed on women.
It really does. Amber is going through the absolute ringer right now. She is deeply in the thick of the IVF process. She's taking birth control to medically suppress her ovaries. She is moving into the stimulation phase, which requires daily hormone shots, and the physical toll on her body is intense.
IVF is brutal on the body.
She is dealing with extreme nausea. She is taking Zopren just to function, and she's physically throwing up. And because she is anxious and feeling out of control, she goes on YouTube and WebMD to research the side effects of her IVF medications, and she starts spiraling about potential weight gain and severe depression.
And here is where I need to issue a critical public service announcement to the Snark Squad, to you, to everyone listening to this conversation. Please, I am begging you, never ever use YouTube or WebMD to diagnose your symptoms or research your medical anxiety.
Seriously, don't do it.
I understand the impulse to seek information when you feel vulnerable, but you have to understand the mechanism of the internet. The algorithm is specifically designed to feed you the most extreme, terrifying edge cases to keep you clicking and scrolling. You type in a mild headache from medication, and suddenly the internet convinces you that you have a rare, incurable brain parasite and you have 48 hours to live. Listen to your certified medical doctors and not influencers with ring lights optimizing their videos for panic clicks.
It is the absolute quickest way to ruin your own life and spike your cortisol.
Yeah.
But honestly, the physical side effects of the hormones aren't even the worst part of Amber's journey right now. The emotional toll is so much heavier, and it is coming from inside the house.
It was heartbreaking.
We have to talk about her mother. We have to talk about the mother of all delusions.
It was painful to watch, truly deeply painful, to witness a mother fail her daughter in such a profound way.
Amber's mom goes to the fertility clinic with her. In theory, this should be a beautiful, supportive, deeply bonding moment between a mother and daughter. Instead, her mom is aggressively, loudly, and consistently unsupportive of the entire process.
At every step.
And the quotes, babes, I had to write them down on my phone because I could not believe my own ears. Her mom literally says to her, if you had a man, you wouldn't have to go through this.
Disgusting.
And then she starts speculating out loud to her daughter, who is currently going through a vulnerable, invasive medical procedure, asking why people are gay if they don't want kids yet.
The homophobia casually sprinkled on top of the internalized misogyny. A classic, devastating cocktail of ignorance.
I was spiraling. I got so incredibly emotional and so protective of Amber in that moment. Babes, it's 2026. Women do not need to sit around waiting for a man to arrive on a white horse to grant them permission to start their family.
We certainly don't.
We have science. We have autonomy. The idea that Amber's journey to motherhood is somehow lesser than, or a punishment, simply because she doesn't have a husband providing the sperm the old-fashioned way, is so deeply offensive. I wanted to jump through the television screen and hug Amber.
It is enraging. But if we analytically break down the mother's behavior, she is projecting a very specific, deeply ingrained, systemic worldview. She is what sociology refers to as deeply male-identified.
Yes, exactly.
Her entire perception of a woman's value, including her own daughter's value, is predicated entirely on her proximity to a man. And the ultimate betrayal, the moment that truly flabbergasted me and revealed the depth of this conditioning, was when Amber politely, vulnerably asks her mom if she could come live with her for just 2 weeks to support her through the worst of the daily IVF shots.
Oh my God, this part broke me.
Amber is laying her armor down. She's asking for her mother's care, and her mother, sitting there wearing a bright pink Sagittarius t-shirt, looks at her adult daughter who is pleading for help and says, "Have you forgotten I have a husband?"
I screamed.
I was stunned into absolute silence. I am flabbergasted that a mother would actively choose serving her fully capable grown adult husband over nursing her own daughter through a grueling, emotional, and physically demanding medical journey.
It is so twisted.
She is literally centering her marriage in a conversation about her daughter's bodily autonomy and pain. It is the absolute height of delusion to act like her husband will simply cease to exist, or forget how to use a microwave, or starve to death if she leaves him alone for 14 days to care for her child.
He's a grown man.
It is a profound failure of maternal instinct, overridden by patriarchal conditioning.
It broke my heart. It really, truly did. And you know what, bestie? Seeing that dynamic play out, seeing the absolute lack of a soft place to land for Amber and her own family, it really made me reevaluate her entirely.
How so?
We both agreed before we started recording that we have to give Amber a massive amount of grace for her messy, hypocritical behavior earlier in the week at the boxing gym, because she is going through it hormonally, physically, and emotionally, completely, without the foundational support system she deserves.
That's very true.
When your own mother hits you with that level of rejection, when you're at your most vulnerable, of course you're going to be acting out, seeking control, and being messy in other areas of your life.
Absolutely. Context is everything when analyzing behavior. We can clock the messy behavior. We can absolutely call out the twerking in the boxing ring while quoting scripture. But we also have to hold space for the human being navigating a very difficult, lonely chapter. Hurt people, and Amber is deeply hurt. Grace is officially extended to Amber Jones.
Yes. Grace extended. Okay, babes, I need a massive sip of my lemon water because that was incredibly heavy. But now we need to pivot the energy and play some games. It is time for our favorite segments.
Let's lighten the mood and apply some structural analysis to the chaos. Segment number 1, receipts or regrets. The rules are simple. We pick a moment from the show and decide, do they have the receipts to back up their behavior, or are they about to severely regret everything they just did?
Okay, the focus for this segment absolutely has to be Killa, Gummy Bear, and her little line or two Instagram comment on Kylan's page. Bessie, what is the official verdict? Receipts or regrets?
Oh, this is the easiest verdict in the history of our show. Regrets. Capital R, bold font, underlined in red ink. She is drowning in a sea of regrets.
100%.
She thought she was being hilarious. She thought she was being edgy in the comments, playing to the invisible internet crowd, seeking digital validation. But the millisecond she realized that Kylan and Amber were ready to literally jump her in the comments section and confront her in real life, the reality of her actions hit her.
She folded immediately.
She had to sprint backward. She rapidly deleted the comment. She issued a fumbling, incoherent apology about it being a jokey joke. And she looked genuinely terrified of the real-world consequences. She had absolutely no receipts, no moral high ground, and no defense to back up her bold behavior. It was pure, unadulterated regret.
She completely folded. You cannot have that much bass in your voice in the Instagram comments and then turn into a whispering, apologetic mouse in person. If you are going to be a villain, commit to the bit. Regrets all across the board.
Exactly.
Okay, segment 2, main character delusion check. This is where we rate someone's delusion level who is acting like they're the main character of the universe, but absolutely shouldn't be.
The focus for this one is unequivocally Amber's mom.
Yes. Oh my gosh, let's rate the delusion.
The delusion level is a solid 10 out of 10. It is breaking the scale. She is acting like she is the main character in a 1950s black and white sitcom where the entire fabric of the universe collapses into a black hole if the patriarch doesn't have his pot roast on the table at 5 p.m. sharp.
Yes.
The delusion required to center your adult husband's minor domestic inconvenience over your daughter's major medical journey is astonishing. She is auditioning for the lead role in a play that nobody is watching.
10 out of 10 delusion.
Yeah.
Have you forgotten I have a husband? Ma'am, we literally do not care about your husband right now. Your daughter is getting synthetic hormones injected into her stomach. Read the room. Her husband can order a pizza.
Precisely. The lack of perspective is staggering. Okay, segment 3. If this was a group chat, we are reimagining a key scene from the show as if it played out purely through our favorite medium, a chaotic, messy iMessage group chat. The focus, the museum meetup falling apart.
Oh, I love this game. I have the entire visual loaded in my head. Okay, so Amber starts the chat. The name of the chat is Healing in History with the sparkle emoji. She sends a frantic, breathless 3-minute voice note from her bathroom floor explaining in graphic detail that the Zoprin isn't working, she's too nauseous to come, and she's so sorry.
And Funmi, who is already mentally and physically in New York for Fashion Week, doesn't even bother to listen to the 3-minute voice note. She just long presses the audio file, reacts with a simple, cold thumbs-up emoji, and instantly puts her phone on Do Not Disturb. She is gone. She is completely checked out of the Birmingham drama.
Yes, she is boarding a flight to JFK. Then Killa, who is actively avoiding Amber and Kylan anyway because of the Instagram comment, doesn't reply to the group chat at all. Instead, she screenshots the transcript of Amber's voice note, sends the screenshot to her new man Jason, and texts him, "Looks like I'm free today. Want to come over and ignore my problems?"
Completely accurate. And then we have Tiffaney. Tiffaney is physically standing outside the Civil Rights Institute, looking around at the empty sidewalk. She types out a heavily punctuated, deeply passive-aggressive text to the group. So is anyone actually coming to this? Or am I standing out here looking crazy by myself? Send.
And Stormi reads Tiffany's message. She deliberately leaves her read receipts on so Tiffaney knows she saw it. She sees the little typing bubble pop up, but then she deletes her draft. She sends absolutely nothing. She weaponizes her silence again. She just lets Tiffaney stew in the anxiety of being stood up until she physically pulls her car up to the museum 30 minutes late.
A masterpiece of modern digital warfare. The accuracy is chilling. All right, our final segment. Soft launch or hard crash? Which relationships or storylines feel like they are just starting to bloom into something healthy, a soft launch, and which ones are heading straight into a disaster, a hard crash?
Okay, for my soft launch, I am genuinely surprised by this, but I have to go with Funmi and Tiffany's friendship.
Really? Explain your logic on that one.
Babes, they actually sat down like grown adults and communicated effectively. Funmi apologized clearly and directly for asking if Tiffaney was intimidated by her. She didn't play games. She didn't serve word salad. She didn't demand Tiffaney guess why she was apologizing. She owned her misstep. Tiffaney accepted the apology with grace. and they moved on. It was so mature. It is a soft launch of a genuinely healthy dynamic, and honestly, we love to see growth in this messy universe.
It is rare to see proper conflict resolution on television, but it is beautiful when it happens. I will agree with that soft launch. As for the hard crash, I mean, we both know what it is. It is the dynamic between Tiffaney and Stormi.
Straight into a disaster.
The mop joke cracked the foundation of their respect for one another, but Stormi's refusal to just use her words and clearly state, "You hurt my feelings," means this friendship is completely unsalvageable right now. When communication completely breaks down into interrogations, mind games, and weaponized silence, there is no coming back without a massive intervention. They are crashing, and there are absolutely no emotional airbags deployed.
It's a total write-off. Oh, babes, this recap gave us so much to process. I feel like we just ran a mental marathon of emotional processing and psychological analysis.
Oh, we truly did. We covered logistics, e-commerce failures, relationship economics, generational trauma, and conflict resolution. But as we wrap up this conversation, I am leaning firmly back into our Friday energy. I am taking a sip of this lemon water, which is surprisingly refreshing, and I am feeling very reflective about friendships, communication, and maintaining boundaries.
Same, bestie. I feel very hydrated, slightly more emotionally intelligent than I was an hour ago. But let's be real, still absolutely messy at heart. Because analyzing the drama is what keeps our blood pumping. We love the psychology of the mess.
Exactly. And before we go, I want to leave this snark squad with a final provocative thought, something to chew on over the weekend while you are sipping your own beverages and analyzing your own group chats.
Ooh, lay it on us.
Think about this overarching theme. If Stormi made millions of dollars in a single weekend but was miserable, stressed, and crying over cardboard boxes in a warehouse, and Tiffaney has all the free time in the world but is actively losing her friends over poorly timed jokes and power plays, who actually won this week? Is peace of mind worth more than $1 million live stream, or is the stress the necessary price of the empire?
Oh my God, that is the question. That is the thesis of the entire conversation. Who really won? I have literal chills. Babes, you are going to be debating that in your own group chats all weekend. I want to hear your theories.
I expect full multi-paragraph essays in the comments. Defend your thesis.
Yes. Thank you, Snark Squad, so fiercely for listening. We love you so much. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Leave us a rating, 5 stars only, babes. We do not accept 4-star energy in this household. Keep your 4 stars to yourself. And be sure to send this recap to the absolute messiest, most analytical friend in your group chat. You know exactly who I am talking about.
Send it to the friend who desperately needs to hear the gospel of the $20 gift limit. Save their wallet.
They really need the intervention. All right, babes. Enjoy your weekend. Stay hydrated. Stay messy.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the Snark side.